This is The Violent Pacifist. This is episode 5. Episode 5.
Nice. Look at us.
Today's edition, and all its festivities, we're going to talk about civil unrest kind of situations and emergency situations. Some of the things you want, some of the things you don't want, all that good jazz. Because and this is going to be the stinky edition. You're lucky this is only a visual and audio experience because you just got back from the gym and I've been working at the bank all day. Awful. I'm so disgusting. There are no words to describe. What was it that got you on this topic last week? Because we came up with this a week or two ago. You got interested in something and you're like, we need to fucking do this.
It was the fire department there with when they got.
Oh, the ambush thing in
yes,
was it Utah,
the ambush
Idaho?
in Idaho.
Idaho.
That's what got me thinking about that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna skip on that till we get an actual
fire
person in here to ask him some questions.
Well, now that you're on that though, we might have to at least touch on it when we get to it. That was the ambush situation in Idaho where a guy was hiding in the woods, started a forest fire and started murking frickin' firefighters that showed up to respond to kind of try to put it out. That was bonkers.
Insane.
Yeah, that whole incident was bonkers. So we wanted to do a civil unrest one, and we'd like, ideally, to drag a firefighter into this conversation. We need to get another cool chair first.
Yes.
Yeah. And we need a better backdrop. But we're working on it. Baby steps.
Baby steps. It's all about baby steps.
Now it's about making recordings. We actually have something for people to listen to. So the Civil Unrest Edition, we'll cover a couple of different things throughout this one. We're going to start at the top of our list and kind of go from there and see where we go. So emergency weather conditions. What kind of conditions do you think of when it's a serious enough emergency? Either A, you're stuck in your house and you can't get out for weeks on end,
Yep.
or you have to displace. So what are you thinking of?
I'm thinking a little bit of both. You could be trapped in your house with no power for weeks on end.
What's the weather condition, though? What would be the environment that would kick us, that we'd go like, time to go, grab Tika?
Right now down in Texas, they got a massive flood. We could say a massive tornado come wiping through. Just on that situation like that. Or you're stuck in your car.
Yeah.
That would be like, hopefully you have some gear in your car. At least to get from point A to point B if you cannot drive your vehicle.
I'm on board with that. Flood's a good start. If we had a flood, we'd be screwed.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd be a little screwed. I don't think we're really well. The only thing we've got going for us is I know you and I collect life straws like they're going out of business.
A little bit of food.
Yeah. Emergency essentials.
Yep. I'm really harping on getting here a solar powered generator here pretty soon.
Are you really?
I'm gonna break down and do it.
Oh,
I'm gonna find one that's like in the middle somewhere where I can actually pick it up and throw it in the back of my car where it doesn't weigh a ton, but still enough to power at least like your refrigerator at the house, because that's would probably be key.
That would be nice to maintain food storage.
Just something like that. Just something at least power the fridge, maybe charge the cell phone, something like that. Turn one light on. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know on that one. That would be interesting.
Just something around there.
You ever thought of a Generac? Took the natural gas line, so
Oh,
lose power.
I was looking at that too, but that thing will run out after it runs out of, what is it, they run on propane or something like that?
Well, it's hooked to your natural gas line.
Yeah.
So unless we have an earthquake that breaks the natural gas lines, those are under pressure without using power. So that's not power. That doesn't use electricity at all.
Mm.
That's the perk of the Generacs, is we don't have to worry about
I don't know, shit.
doing anything with them unless if you're on.
You just gotta you just gotta switch it in the basement to turn it from.
No, you don't have to do anything. It does it automatically.
It's automatic.
Yeah, the Generacs have that indoor switch, so if they lose power from the house, it automatically hits the
kicks
solenoid.
on.
It kicks on automatically and just starts burning
I
natural gas. It turns on once a month just to make sure everything still runs, and it gives you a little status report if it doesn't. So.
I'm gonna have to look into that one too, but.
Not portable.
Yeah, not portable. I'd like something portable just in case. Because that would be nice if you had to get up and move because of, let's just say...
Flooding's a big one, though. We'd have to really get out of Dodge quick, but we'd have to have some serious...
But if they knew it was coming, after a while, you got a foot of water, 2 foot of water, okay, it's time to fucking go.
Yeah.
It's time to load up some shit and move. And I can move pretty quick.
Yeah. I think it was like 6 years ago, We had that real nasty freaking rainfall. Do you remember that flood?
Yeah,
It filled
half the
all
t-
the storm drains.
Yeah,
and-
half the town flooded.
Yeah.
You couldn't drive in certain areas.
Oh yeah, I know. I was working that night. That sucked. I was going like on foot through people's like yards and stuff because the water was like up to the stoops of houses. We had a couple
Yep.
that actually went into their houses on their main floor
Yep.
because it came off the road, up the yard, and just absolutely like feet on feet. I mean, that was 2-3 days.
Right.
That's not the worst displacement in the world because you could probably pick up and go towards if you have any family anywhere.
But, you know,
Yeah, that one's not the end of the world for basic displacement, but Texas sucks, especially if you, the bigger issue would be is if you didn't have family, or you didn't have friends that were out of the area. If everybody, you know, most of your friends group or family group or whatever, or people you would be willing to be like, hey, can I crash on your couch?
yeah. Because if you don't move fast enough in a flooding like that in Texas, you know, you're trying to drive to the next hotel, at least where you can get some sleep. That might be full. Then you
Mhm.
got to move on and move on. That's what I'm saying. You know, have some good gear in the vehicle. You know, some of that emergency fuel. Like I said, maybe even a small little solar powered to charge up your cell phones and whatever else. A little emergency food.
I keep my little solar thing for my
You
phone
know,
in my
maybe a
car.
blanket in the car. I don't know how cold it gets at night down there, but I'm sure it's hot as shit. But
It's anything like here, because right now this room's about, what, 406
yeah,
degrees?
it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's toasty in here.
So, you know, something like that, just so at least you can move on, at least crash out in your vehicle to go to the next town in case you can't drive anymore because you're worn the hell out.
Especially with families. Imagine you have a family of 5.
Oh, yeah.
3 little kids.
Yeah, with kids. Oh, man. That's what I'm saying. A little bit of food in there, some blankets.
Get a couple of them little crush sleeping bags and
Yeah.
some pillows and stuff, some basic essentials.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be. Well, I don't know anybody that's going to keep that, or at least have it in a convenient duffel bag in your garage that you can just
Or
throw
like
into the car.
One of them big plastic hard shell containers where you can just pick that whole thing up and shove it in the back of a vehicle.
Yep, the camping Rubbermaid.
Yeah.
Yep, has some basic essentials, your tent if you needed it, whatever.
You know, some to last you, you know, a good 2 to 3 days. I think it'd be
Mhm.
perfect because you can get anywhere in about 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
I think you can get away safe somewhere.
I think that's solid. Tornado, same kind of animal that can
Yep.
pretty much just level your home, but having something that's, if you had a decent quality foot locker or something with a little ass to it, little teeth to it, that, you know, oh look, we got to dig through the garage a little bit, but here's the big thing.
All right.
Toss it in your car and go, assuming there's anything left of your car. But having like a lockbox or a freaking, oh, you know what would be handy to have? I never even thought about this. And I'm not saying go out and do this necessarily. This requires this. If you're in fucking Wichita, okay, maybe you want to have this conversation. But you know those little league the strong boxes they use for like little league fields, the steel ones.
Yeah.
Sticking that in like the back end of your backyard next to your fence that you know what the house is going to collapse on it,
Right.
and have your stuff in that. Like have your bug out emergency stuff in that, so you could have, you know, I don't know if the emergency food is temperature sensitive or not, but I don't think I ever looked at it on the package to find out. But having something
Yeah,
like,
as long as it ain't too hot, I think it'd be all right. As long as it doesn't like.
well, that's the problem is look at like data like today, it'd be a gajillion degrees inside of that can. But having something like, hell, even, I don't know about a couple of jugs of water, because I bet that evaporates. That probably won't do real well. But having like a couple of life straws, especially for a tornado, you know, because your utilities are going to be knocked out for a hot minute.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you can leave the area. Maybe you aren't in a situation where you can. Your car is destroyed, and you could be spending 2 or 3 days before phones are back on, etc. I don't know what that response time is these days for emergency communications, but you might be stranded there for a hot second. Tent,
Yeah.
sleeping bag, some of your basic essentials, life straw,
Yeah, it would be a bad idea. Like you said,
thing of crackers.
thing out. Yeah, look on some of that survival food because I'm sure some of it just add water, and it's a bunch of noodles and whatever else.
You have powdered shit and stuff for the most part. You don't really have to worry about baking it per se.
Right. Stick some ramen in there. It'll last. All you need is water, and if it's hot enough, it'll be lukewarm ramen.
Yeah. Yeah. We just put it back in the can for a little bit. It'll heat up. Don't worry about it. Fire starter stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That wouldn't be too terrible. Emergency comms.
Oh.
I'm big on the emergency comms
Yeah.
thing, especially if you do get in a situation where the tornado one pops into my head most of all, especially if you're there with your family and you're like, okay, the car's gone, or the roads are impassable. That's always an alternative. Great, we have a Toyota Yaris as the family car, and all the roads are impassable. Well, what do you do then if you do need groceries? You're going to bring the whole family and hoof it, or are you going to say, okay, it's better to stay right here. We've got some basic essentials, tent, all that stuff. I'm going to walk into town with a backpack, get what I can, if anything is available, or if there's an aid station or whatever. It'd be nice to be able to have basic comms of, hey, this is what's going.
This is what's going on with comms. Yep. I probably have a stack of cash somewhere. Nothing crazy, because.
By the way, our address is.
No, I'm just saying,
A little emergency.
Yeah,
currency.
little emergency cash because, power's down, that ATM card or credit card might not work.
I have the best currency in the world. I have a table full of booze. Just saying.
I can swap this out for some food.
We're going to do a little bartering. The world has ended. There's nothing to do but sit there and be angry. You can at least do angry with good whiskey.
Nice. Absolutely.
I'm just saying it's an option. Not all of us can drink Monster like it's, water.
I don't understand the question.
I know you don't. You never do. Yeah, good radios. I always tell people to get their ham license. It's a good plan. It's a solid plan. The nice thing is if your town gets ruined, the neighboring tower, ham tower, might not be. And if you do have friends, family, somebody that can help you, it'd be nice to have an emergency procedure. Goes, hey, by the way, if my town gets blown away via tornado, can you turn on your radio and hit the repeater? Because Rochelle can hit DeKalb's repeater, DeKalb can hit Rochelle's repeater, and then so on and so on and so on for all these towns. So if you have a basic knowledge on how to use it, that's handy. Flip side to that is, especially with stuff like we've done before, the radios we have now, those Baofangs that we have, they have the GPS in them. So we can freaking chirp each other. So even if he's not awake, but he's got his radio on and plugged into his little solar generator he's going to carry on his back, as long as it's on, I can chirp him and figure out where he's at. So if something happens, say I do leave the family at the house and the cops come past, or the cops come to the area on four-wheelers and say, hey, this is not a safe place, we're having some other issues, you guys need to move. You can move and still be able to pass that information on if I know I'm not going to be back for 3 hours. Because shoot, if you're out in let's say the Fowler area, it's only a couple of miles, but that couple of miles is a long freaking walk.
Especially if you got family. Yeah, it's even going to be longer.
Yeah, so either way, you're talking probably 4 or 5 hours for you to come back to town, load up on gear, and then come all the way back. That's probably going to be a couple hours, because what does the average person walk, 2 miles an hour?
Yep.
And Fowler Road is what? That area, like Scare Road, Fowler off of Scare is what, 5 miles?
Yeah.
10 miles?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, maybe 10. It might even be 10 miles, yeah.
10, 12 minutes by vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. So you're talking going 60 miles an hour, going 2 miles an hour.
It's going to take you a minute.
That's going to be a day trip.
Mm-hmm.
If you're running solo and you're scooting, that's going to be a day trip. It'd be good to have basic comms that can kind of handle that.
Yeah.
And also, as a side note, we should put a radio tower at the pit.
I like where your head's at.
I know. I think you'd be on board with that. I'm just saying, it's a liable, it's a legitimate option. There's a hill up there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I'm big on the comms thing. You might not need them. You might not use them. We like the Baofangs that we kind of mess with just because if you've got them bubble pack cheap radios and you need to coordinate with somebody else, they're handy. If you're on the disaster response side, on the back end of it, we're starting to clean stuff up and you need to communicate with people in your different areas, different teams, etc. Again, cheap radios go a long way. Getting a $32 or a $28 freaking Baofang, and you guys have comms for all the situations you may need in an emergency situation. So definitely worthwhile. If you do have to displace, especially in the modern world, I'm worried less about like a hunting rifle. I can't rationalize in my head a situation where we'd have to be like, well, there's not enough food for us to go around. Let's start shooting animals to feed ourselves. Right. I feel like we'd be okay for...
We'd be okay for a little while unless some ridiculous, crazy thing happened.
Yeah, exactly. Like the nuke plant exploded, which would be a different...
whole different story.
Just a defensive weapon? What would you bring?
Just some defensive weapons. I mean... I don't think you really need anything too crazy for the home. like I said, at wherever our base would be, if our home didn't get wiped out, I would have some rifles there just in case.
'Cause it's home.
Because it's home, a bad shit. But if I was running to the freaking store, I'd probably just have maybe a handgun on me, just so I didn't look too.
There shouldn't be any reason.
I wouldn't want to look like too much of a threat either which way, because I'm just trying to get some food for the family or the boys and get on back. But
you don't want to muzzle thump people and.
That's a later date. Nothing like a good muzzle thump.
Grocery shop. I didn't even think about the grocery shopping, like going to a food like distribution location, whether it's grocery store or whatever. Didn't even think about that. I might actually be more inclined to have like a backpack rifle or something handy, just because the muzzle thumb popped into the head when we were watching Homestead. When you were watching Homestead.
I'm just saying.
Probably not an issue. That being said, if there was a limited number of supplies in this town, I feel like we could figure something out though, because we have what, 5 cold storage facilities or dry goods storage facilities.
Yeah.
There's 2 major LaGrues that are non-cold storage that are just food,
Yeah.
and there's how many frozen good facilities in this town. I feel like this is a good town to have something go sideways because there's plenty of food for an emergency.
Well, just like right now, when I was looking at stuff to see what to talk about for a minute,
Yeah.
Walmart, all their freezers went down today, so you can't get anything frozen right now. So.
Good for them.
You know what I'm saying? So now there's another store that's down.
So there's riots and food for. You heard it, guys. It's
Nothing.
raining a little bit, and there's riots and food. No, I'm just kidding.
Nothing but cereal and crackers right now.
I do love cereal, and I do love chicken and biscuits. No, they were out of chicken and
They
biscuits.
were out of chicken and business. I almost caused a riot.
Stuff's important to him. Don't mess with his chicken and biscuit. Protests. You walk in a protest or drive through because you got to work in Chicago all the time.
Oh,
I don't
man.
have these issues. You drive through Chicago and you hit pedestrian. You hit a pedestrian protest that is getting antsy. We'll call it. Not quite like full blown riot. What are your procedures? What's your SOP in your head if you happen to drive into an area and you're like, okay, it's wall to wall people in the middle of the street?
I'm either hitting reverse and getting the fuck out of there, or if I can't go, I'm not to sound like a piece of shit, but I'm going through it because I'm not stopping and getting out and leaving my vehicle. I need to get home.
Mm-hmm. We're not talking running people over.
No, I'm just trying to get through.
Staying in a locked car unless you can't.
Yeah, unless bad shit happens, then my foot will go to the pedal.
Yeah. Careful with that sucker.
Exactly. I'm very careful because it is Chicago, it is Illinois. You are the one that's going to be in trouble.
Well, technically, because everything that like the Florida governor said, he's like, if somebody's trying to hurt you in your car, go ahead and run them over and drive through that crowd. They're not going to prosecute, hypothetically. But even in Florida, that's not legal. Because here's the thing. You don't get to raise the value of your life against the life of another innocent person. If you've got a threat in front of your car that's threatening your life or the life of somebody else, absolutely you're going to be justified in running them over. As long as you can explain it, as long as you can prove it, and everybody, or you have witnesses and evidence, yada, yada, yada.
It has to escalate.
Right.
They have to make it escalate and life-threatening for you, too.
But driving into a crowd is...
Yeah.
That is some sketch.
Yep.
You're probably going to prison for that, unless you can show why the entire crowd is the threat.
Doors locked and...
Ride it out and hope for the best.
Yep, and see what happens.
Yep, and if people try to break into your car, well, you've got a pistol on you, so you can at least do that.
Mhm.
And if it gets worse than that, then, well, you deal with it. I mean, one step at a time. There's not a good solution to that.
Not at all. Yep, like I said, one step at a time.
If you're just walking downtown, let's say you're going to dinner over to DeKalb and we didn't know there's a protest. Because they've had some pretty good-sized protests in downtown on 38th.
Yeah, they have.
Then what's your solution on that?
Oh, man.
Because there's no timetable on these. Some of these can be an hour long. Some of these can be freaking bonkers.
As of right now,
Because I know you're not going into Chicago.
I'm just turning around and walking the other way just to get the hell out of there.
My thought is I'm going to go back in and keep drinking.
Wherever we were at.
Wherever we were at. We're going to go back in and keep feeding our fat faces and keep drinking. I've got my DD, so I'm covered there. Small town stuff, when they had those bigger protests, even when they start throwing rocks and stuff like that, I'd rather be indoors in that environment than being like, well, I got to walk through this crap to get to my car.
Yeah. Not walking through it if I don't have to.
No, I'm going to go back in and keep, go grab an extra cerveza or an extra hamburger or something like that, or see if there's a back alleyway that I can use to get out, whatever. But Like, the local protests have never lasted more than a couple hours.
Right.
Downtown Chicago,
Different animal.
different animal. If there's anything hot topic going on, though, I'm probably not going down there anyway.
Exactly. Try to get out of that city, in and out.
Yes. So the life-threatening thing, we kind of talked about that already when you're in a vehicle. Same thing with a crowd. You're going to have to pick your shots and pick your tactics. Keep in mind, if somebody's trying to knife you, stab you, punch you, kick you, throw bricks at you, are the people around that person
Doing the same thing.
exactly? Because if it's not a mob coming for you, you might not be justified in just indiscriminately shooting into said crowd. You better be picking your targets, and also keep in mind, most ammo goes through people,
Yeah.
which means you're shooting at whoever you're going to be putting rounds beyond.
Yeah. You're responsible for every round that comes out of that gun.
Exactly.
Remember that.
Even if they're behind your bad guy, there is still a potential for problem and liability there. So you need to adjust your tactics accordingly. And it's definitely a kingpin situation of learn to shut your freaking mouth. That is not the time to get in a pissing match or pride matches with people. That's the time to, oh, my bad, dude, I gotta go.
Put the ego aside.
Yeah. Especially in that situation, because you could put yourself in a situation really quick, because you know they're already emotionally inflamed because they're at a protest that's going kind of wonky.
Yeah. Especially if you got family with you, you got little ones with you, you want to grab them and just get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Family first.
Yeah, if that crowd starts forming, you scoot, and get your butt out of there until you can't. See if there's a extra direction you can get out, etc. I mean, when I did the Freeport riots, those were a freaking nightmare. There were crowds on every street corner, so if you had a car, you could not get around. If you had to be out and about late for whatever reason, that was a nightmare. Yeah, not kosher. In and around your residence, stay in your residence.
You just stay inside.
The exception being is if you see people showing up like Molotov cocktails, that's
Somebody lights up a Molotov cocktail and get ready to throw it at my house. Well,
a different animal.
different animal.
Mhm.
Yes.
Riots in your neighborhood. Let's say you look at it and you go, okay, we're going to sit tight, but just in case we're going to have an evasion plan. Because that might be one where it's like, all right, you're going to go visit your daughter up in Wisco. Or I'm going to go, visit my folks because something's happening in our area where they're going through neighborhoods and stuff. Not
Right.
super common, but it happened in Chicago a bunch.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying hypothetically. What do you do with what are you going to do with your residents? You're going to secure stuff. Obviously, firearms and ammo we're going to secure up, I would think. Or are we just going to get in the car and leave?
I'm grabbing what I can because I'm not. Because if we leave and they get in the house, especially
We would never.
especially the house we stay at, there's a lot of potential stuff there that could cause some harm on other people.
All legally obtained.
Yes, all legally obtained.
Don't shoot my dog, ATF. I'm less equipped. 95% of my stuff is locked in shops.
Right.
And soon be even better. Yeah, secure your important stuff. Secure your valuables. I'd be worried about looting to a degree. So if you have anything that's a particular value, heirloom or financial, I would probably pack that up and scoot. Or if you have a way of locking it up, if you have a good-sized vault, or you have like a safe, or a panic room or something like that, or equivalent. I know a lot of guys out here have like full concrete bunker rooms now in their houses. Yeah. We've got the advantage of the shop,
Right.
especially the new shop. We've got two big giant vaults that we can lock stuff up in if we need to in a pinch. Businesses. This one's favorite. This one's a favorite.
Oh man.
How do you secure your business? Panel up windows.
Yeah, just some chains on the doors. I don't know.
Plywood them up. If it's our shop, frankly, I'd rather, and we knew that there was a bunch of civil unrest stuff going on in the area, honestly, I'd probably be over at the new location near the bank. Concrete walls. Everything is reinforced on this building.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the inner structure though would, so I'd still be a little concerned on Molotov cocktails, but honestly, I'd grab our pop-up tent and I'd go up to the roof and we'd be sitting up there and rooftop Koreans.
Just saying.
Yeah, straight up. We'd be up there and prepared appropriately, because if we saw somebody with a Molotov cocktail anywhere downtown, really, it wouldn't even necessarily just be our location. If you're familiar with downtown Rochelle, all of the buildings are older construction, which means a lot of wood structures, but there's apartments above almost all of them.
Yep.
somebody with a firebomb could hurt a lot of people very, very quickly. That would be a situation of, we're going to be on the roof, and we're going to be with something with a high level of precision and range available, and just watching from up there. In its current condition, we could do it from the second floor, so if the weather was crappy, but let's face it, nobody protests when the weather's crappy.
No, they don't. It's got to be nice outside, no rain.
It's so weird how that is. They're like, oh, if it's not sunny in 75, I
Right.
don't want it.
They never protest in the wintertime either, I've noticed.
No, that's pretty common in Europe. It's a pretty factual statement. Yeah, I'm thinking rifle with a scope.
Yeah.
An AR is not a bad option necessarily, but I'm not less worried about volume of fire, and I'm worried more about precision. That'd fall more under a desert tech situation. Long range, couple hundred yards, pinpoint, shoot a quarter with it.
Know everything about it.
Huh? Yeah, that's probably, I would have, a couple of tripods and some emplacements in place. Thankfully, lots of good cover up there. It's all brick and rock and stone, so. Everything else, lock up. We've got the advantage of having two very, I hate to use the term bomb-proof, but that's borderline accurate.
Pretty close, yeah.
Two giant concrete encased vaults.
Yeah. All day.
And frankly, if it got bad enough, we could lock ourselves in the big vault because it's got that the air
It's got
system.
that airlock, yeah.
Yeah, it's got the air system in there, so we could actually, if it got nasty enough. Same thing with storms, though. Tornado came through, I'd probably come. If we had a tornado come through, I would not be locking us at the basement of the house. Probably grab the dog and come here.
Yeah, I have to start stashing some gear in that safe.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Why do you guys got cots and beds and shit in here? What do you mean?
Well, if we didn't want to risk getting stuck in the safe, we could probably go underneath it, because right underneath there is
Yeah.
the space in the basement is all concrete, reinforced, walls, everything is
Yeah,
got.
everything's concrete.
There's just that one 3-foot section that's open, so we could, so if stuff started collapsing, in theory, we could dig our way out without having to be trapped in the vault. Because who knows how long it's going to take to get that door open. Well, they'd have to cut us out. Because there's a good chance if the building collapsed on it, that door might not open as smoothly as it had prior.
True.
You know what I mean? Big concrete box.
That's a big door.
Yeah, I'd rather just dig down in front of the door, and then we're going to be underneath. I wouldn't think the vault would collapse in a tornado, but that could be what kills us. Knock on wood.
Yes.
But yeah, I think those are my big ones.
Yeah. Just something to think about. You know.
Emergency in the flood, temporarily, if it got bad enough that downtown was flooding, and I don't think it's a low enough spot that that's even possible. But hypothetically, if it was that bad, getting the second or third floor of this building, it's not going to collapse in floodwater.
No.
Might get a little moldy afterwards, but
Yeah, we'll deal with that later. Yeah, just something to think about with gear. Get the right gear.
yeah, cool. I think that's everything I got. You got anything else that you want to throw out
No.
there?
I like it.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to Violent Pacifist. Yeah, stay tuned for next week. We'll see what we, no idea what we're going to talk about then, but we're going to figure it out. Have a good one.